Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Want to talk some more today about getting ready for winter, and especially when it comes to heating your home, because it doesn't look like it's going to be very cheap this winter for you to keep warm. In fact, everything that's in the news all over the world, shortages and supply chain problems causing heating costs to explode, and not just heating costs, but costs to produce electricity. Everything's going to get expensive this winter, and keeping warm is going to get kind of tough and expensive for a lot of folks. So I want to talk about that, and then also maybe some just tips, things that you can do, alternative ways to keep warm coming this winter. Before I get started on that part of the video, I want to let you know that I think it's been set in stone of when this live stream that we're going to do for the 50,000 subscriber celebration. It will be tomorrow afternoon. I know that's a problem for some of you. I usually do live streams in the evening. And this one's going to be in the afternoon, but there is a reason for that. We will be having this live stream, doing it live at a pretty cool place, not too far from where we live, in a little town called Ava, Missouri. There is a little coffee shop on the square in Ava, and Ava, Missouri is just a little tiny town. It's got an old-fashioned square. And there is a coffee and sandwich shop there. And so they have kind of a back dining room, front dining room, and then a back dining room. And we're going to be back there set up, doing a live stream. What is kind of cool about this is that this place is actually a ministry. Now, they serve amazing coffee and drinks and sandwiches and little pizzas and stuff. The quality of the food there is really good. It's a really good atmosphere. But the main thing is that the entire business is actually a ministry, and everyone that works there is volunteer, and all the profits and everything, after they cover the cost of rent and the cost of food, everything else goes to help those in need in that community. They help people out that are less fortunate, and to the point that if you come in there and you're needing a meal and you can't afford it, it's free. They also have shower facilities in the back for people that would need that. It's a really good ministry that goes on in that community. And so we're going to be set up doing our live stream there. If all works out as planned, they do have internet access so that it should work, that we can do that. And if you folks in the area, if you'd like to stop by and say hello, you're welcome to do that. If you're able to, purchase a coffee or a drink or something to kind of help the business out. And then any and all proceeds that come in, money that comes in from any ad revenue for that live stream will be donated to this business. It's called True Brew Coffee Shop. True Brew. It is in Ava, Missouri, on the square. And I am thinking that the live stream will probably start somewhere around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. If all works out as planned. And we'll do that. And we've got some things to give away during the live stream. So I hope that many of you can watch us then. All right. So this whole heating problem, electricity problem that we're hearing about in the news. Some of it's orchestrated. We talked about that. We've talked about that already this week. But regardless of whether it's manipulated and orchestrated or not, it's real, and it's going to affect us. It's going to affect a lot of people. And it's one of these things that we need to prepare for. Winter, especially in some parts of the country, can be quite harsh. And if you're not able to heat your home, or you're not able to afford to heat your home, or it's just not available, that's going to be a serious problem for a lot of people. We're hearing this from everywhere. We're hearing this everywhere with various supply chain issues and various products that are becoming more and more in short supply. And it's not all just food. It's a little bit of everything. And just to make this clear for a lot of you that might say, Well, why, if this is all being done and manipulated and everything, why would these big CEOs of these big, multinational mega corporations, why would they be involved in this? I mean, aren't they, wanting to make money, wanting to make profit? I mean, are they so hung up on this woke stuff and following orders from these world elites that they don't see that they're not making a profit? Well, folks, take a look at this. This is something that I've said since the very, very beginning of this whole health crisis, that we are watching the greatest transfer of wealth probably human history has ever seen. For the first time in American history, the top 1% in the United States, the top 1% wealthiest people in the United States now hold a greater share of wealth than the middle 60%. Middle 60%. That's, look at the graph. You can see the little red line. That's the middle class as it's going dee, 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 dee. See, it's going down, 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 down. And you see the little black lines. That's the upper 1%, and it's ticking upwards. That's why, folks, these people don't really deeply, truly care. At least I don't believe they do about, political correctness or your feelings or someone else's feelings. They care about the bottom dollar. And they know that a lot of this stuff that's happening ends up making them wealthy because it's transferring wealth from the mom and pop businesses, the small little, local shops and stuff like that into their back pockets. I mean, let's look at the two wealthiest people in America. Elon Musk is now worth over $250 billion. His wealth since the beginning of all this health crisis has increased by 750%. 750% wealth increase. And I'm really trying to figure out where he's making all of his money because, all these companies that he has, they're not really putting out really great products. I know everyone wants a Tesla car, but if you do the research on them, most people that have them have a lot of problems with them. And he's blown up a whole lot of rockets. Just trying to figure it out. Jeff Bezos increased his wealth by 70% since the beginning of this health crisis. Folks, this is why these big CEOs and stuff are falling in line and towing the line of the World Health Organization, of the World Economic Forum, of the United Nations, and all these other global elites, because it makes them money. All right, I just thought I'd add that in today. They're projecting that in the United States this winter, the average person could see at least a 54 to 55% increase in their heating costs. And that's a minimum. I mean, look at this one here. Natural gas alone, which I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm sure a lot of people in the United States heat with natural gas. 180% increase. Natural gas. This is everywhere. If you do the research online, dig around, see stuff in the news, you see a lot of stuff also in other countries. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that may stink for China to be going through a natural gas or a coal shortage, or India going through a coal shortage, or, Europe having all kinds of heating costs because of heating oil and gases and stuff have skyrocketed and they're not able to get enough. But I mean, we're in America, right? Folks, these, fuels, these are traded on a global stage. So when prices go up or shortages happen in one part of the world, and that nation has to buy a whole bunch of other stuff or whatever it is, it's affecting everything. So just because something's going on in Europe or China or India or Australia or whatever, don't think that that's not going to have ripple effects around the world and affect the cost and the availability of these various different fuels for electricity and for heating, that it's not going to affect us here. It is. It absolutely is. We're not energy independent here. We almost were. We were pretty much energy independent when it came to gasoline, but that kind of all went down the tube a few months back. And there was an effort to bring back coal in this country, and that didn't work. And then now we're seeing that there's not enough of all these other fuels, and these green energies really aren't as efficient as we thought they were. So now they're going back to using coal to create electricity, except there's not enough coal to go around because people stopped mining for coal. So there's a lot of different problems, and there's also some logistics problems and movements in the supply chain that's causing things to slow down because there's a slow supply chain everywhere. There's just a lot of problems that's causing this. I don't think that there's any one singular thing that anyone could point to that's causing these problems. Crude oil, prices of crude oil have gone up. I mean, if you haven't noticed, folks, most places are paying almost twice the price at the pump today as they were, say, a year and a half to 2 years ago. And maybe you haven't noticed, but I certainly have. Even things that don't fit within the typical things of heating are being affected by this. For instance, we primarily use wood heat, and I've noticed, and many of you do also, and I've noticed the cost of wood has gone up. So a lot of people nowadays don't cut their own wood. Maybe they're not able to, maybe they don't have enough of a good resource of wood, on their property or whatever it is. And the cost of that's gone up. I remember 2 years ago, you could get a full cord of wood delivered to your home here in my area for roughly $120. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Last year, that cost was around $145 roughly. I've seen people sell it in my area as high as $300, or at least have it for that price. The average that I've seen is $180, maybe even as high as $200. It seems to be the average. So the cost of heating has gone up, and it's going to put, it's going to hurt the budget of a lot of people, especially when everything else has gone up. Cost of electricity is going up. Cost to eat is going up. Most people are paying at least 15% more in the grocery stores than they were 2 years ago. And on some things more, certain items, you're paying 30 and 40% more in the grocery store. So all this put together, you're not going to have as much money to go around with. Now, that's just the cost. We also have to figure into this that there is a possibility, because of all this, that there could be just absolute shortages, meaning kind of blackouts of the system. We've seen that in other countries, in Lebanon. We've seen that in China. We've seen that in India. And of course, California goes through their blackouts all the time for various issues. The possibility that Americans come this winter could not have enough, electricity or enough fuel to run the power or to heat their home in at least some areas of this country are a possibility. Just the last few days up in St. Louis, a company that supplies natural gas to that area, one of the pipelines that they use, a federal judge ordered it to be shut down because the federal judge's opinion that, this natural gas pipeline is not good for the environment and it's not really needed, so it was shut down. This company took it to the Supreme Court, and the all-conservative Justice John Roberts refused to hear the case. And so it looks like, for right now, that this pipeline is being shut down that services the St. Louis, Missouri area, which could cause prices to increase in that area, and it could cause shortages. It may actually cause some people just to not get the fuel that they need to keep their homes warm this wintertime. So this is something that we should be taking seriously. And if you haven't been yet, if you haven't been preparing on what to do with heating your home, with electricity, paying for it, or just preparing for it with having alternatives and stocking up, you're almost to the point that it's too late. Prices are already skyrocketing around the country, and there have been shortages already of certain items. I've seen for myself, and I've heard from other people, that just getting propane is sometimes difficult to get it, to find it, to get it when you need it. And so we're already seeing that in some areas. So do what you want, I guess. But if I were you, I certainly wouldn't just be shrugging this off as nothing important. If you heat with a source that you're able to stock up on, say like propane, certainly do so. Wood, certainly do so. Have backups, folks. Don't just have one way to heat your home. Like I said, our primary source is wood, and it's wood because we have a lot of wood. As you can see, we've got a lot of wood, and I've got some chainsaws, and I've got plenty of fuel to run the chainsaws. And there's always trees down out here, and there's always limbs down. And so if worse come to worse, which I do keep enough wood ready to use, I can always go out here and I can produce some more. Okay, it's not that difficult. But I have other sources also. We have electric heaters, we have kerosene heaters, we have propane heaters. There are other sources that we have, other backups to our heating plan. And that's what you should try to do. I know that some of you, it's difficult. Maybe you live in an apartment. You can't just hook up a wood stove in your apartment. And I understand that there are regulations that vary across the country of what you can use for a source inside your home to heat with, whether you're living in a single family dwelling or an apartment. Certainly you should look into that. But generally speaking, kerosene is a good alternative as a backup to heat your home. You certainly have to store that kerosene fuel. That's true. Kerosene heaters aren't terribly expensive, and most of them will put out enough heat to keep a pretty good size space. A small apartment, it'll heat. Part of your home, it would heat. And they're fairly safe. You have to be a little careful with them because it gets heated up. You don't want to go over and touch it. I remember when I was a kid, we were using one and I touched it, the top of it, and burned my hand and very badly. I remember that distinctly. Had some pretty severe burns on my hand because of that. So yeah, you got to be careful with it. Propane is also an alternative. Propane stores for a very long time, but you also have to store it. And it's more explosive. So if you're not, if you're not storing it properly, if you're not using it properly, if you're not ventilating properly, there's also danger there with that. But certainly plan ahead. Another thing that you should do is insulate your home as much as possible. Even if you don't insulate it right now, you need to at least have the resources available to insulate it if necessary. So if your home is normally good enough under normal conditions, but yet you have to cut way back on the fuel because the prices has gone up, or maybe it's just not even available, you need to be able to seal off your windows, to put blankets up over windows and doors, and even possibly cut the size of your house down. Move the whole family to live in maybe just the living room and kitchen and put blankets up and seal the rest of the place off. There are ways that you can do this, and I strongly encourage you to think about this because everything that we're seeing coming down the pike that this winter is going to be rough for a lot of people because the cost is going to skyrocket. And for those of you that are just barely holding on by a thread because you're already dealing with the increase of costs, maybe some of you have lost your job or aren't going to be able to work because you're refusing to do the thing, heating your home is going to be a problem too. So certainly work on your backup plans, okay? You should always have contingency plans, backups to everything that you do, and this is going to be one of them. And then as far as electricity, you need to work on that too, because I think that there's going to be a possibility this winter that in some places we could see blackouts just because there isn't enough electricity to go around. So folks, not trying to cause you to panic, but I do think that you should take it seriously and figure out a plan and do it quickly, because we're nearing going into the middle or the end of October now, and many of you are already starting to see winter, and winter's going to set in for a lot of you within the next 30 to 60 days. So if you're going to do anything to get prepared in this way, you better do it fast. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.